Finally, the playoffs are here. It has felt like a long time. As a fan of a team that has been tanking for quite some time now, over the last 30 or so games, the playoffs couldn't have come sooner, and what better place to start than to talk about a team that has quickly become one of my favorite teams in the NBA, and that's the Atlanta Hawks. This is a team that, since being taken over by Nate McMillan, they have a record of 27-11. Yeah, we're just jumping straight into it. 27-11. This isn't the same Hawks team. Oh, they're a cool team. They're a nice story. Trey Young, he's going to get exposed. Now, this is a legit team. 8th on offense since being taken over by Nate McMillan. 12th on defense. They've won 7 out of their last 8 games, if you want to talk about recent form. Oh, they've also done this without Trey Young through several games. They've done this without other guys. DeAndre Hunter, you know that guy who's probably their 3rd best player. Actually, Bogdanovic has been really good. Maybe their 4th. There's John Collins as well. He's one of their best players. That kind of says it all. Like, I genuinely don't know who's their best players. Obviously, Trey Young is the best player on the Atlanta Hawks. Yes, I can concede that. I think Clint Capela is the 2nd best. Then probably Bogdanovic. I'm not even going to get into it right now. Basically, the point is they've got a number of good players, and DeAndre Hunter is finally back. The Hawks have just been a different team. Forget about a surge. And that's why when I hear people say, oh, they're the 20th ranked defense, I believe that's what they are on the season. Well, no, they're a different team. That's like comparing the LA Lakers with Luke Walton to the LA Lakers with Frank Vogel. Obviously, they added Anthony Davis, but it's like comparing a team with a different coach with a different playing group, because not only do they have a different coach, but they also have a number of different players, and they're just playing better. I mean, they made a lot of acquisitions. It's all gelled right now, so I'm not looking at their overall season stats. I'm looking at what they've done under Nate McMillan, and what they've done under Nate McMillan is only bettered by the Phoenix Suns and the Denver Nuggets record-wise. Is that kind of impressive? Now, before I talk about that, if you could drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you're new, or if you're not, if you want to subscribe, that would be cool. Liking the video just helps out how the video goes a ton, and that would be much appreciated. Also, if you like the video, the Hawks will win in the first round. I've got word. Yeah, Trey Young? Yeah, like the video, the Hawks will win? Okay. He said it himself, so do that. That would be cool. But let's just get straight into it. With the Hawks, the reason why I'm so high on them is their versatility. They've just got a number of different options for a number of different lineups. And I look at a team that had a lot of versatility last season, the LA Lakers. They won the championship. Yeah, they had LeBron and AD. And yeah, obviously that's a lot of talent to have on one team. But I think what gets overlooked is some of the different things that they did. Look at the Denver Nuggets series. They threw Dwight Howard in the game. He disrupted Jokic. He actually provided some offense in terms of his athleticism, crashing the boards, blocking shots, getting under Jokic's skin, putting him off his game. And then just on the flip side, just giving you another example of the wrong kind of versatility or lack thereof, look at the LA Clippers. They really didn't have an answer for Nikola Jokic. They didn't have an answer for a number of things. When Kawhi Leonard or Paul George couldn't create, no one else could create. So that's what they had, and they ended up getting bounced. With the Hawks, I think they've got enough versatility. When it comes defensively, you've got a number of different guys. You look at Solomon Hill. He might play that Dwight Howard kind of role as an old head just comes in and just annoys people. Try to keep within the boundaries of the game, just annoys people, gets physical, makes the right plays. That's the kind of guy he is. Tony Snell, greatest shooter of all time? If you know, you know. He's the greatest shooter of all time. So that's a fact. And they've got other guys. You look at DeAndre Hunter, like I mentioned. Oh, he missed a ton of games. Oh, they were really good without him. Oh, he's still really good, and they'll be even better when he comes back. Onyeka Okongwu just dropped 20 and 15. Yeah, it was against the Rockets. Okay, but he's also had some bigger games against teams like the Phoenix Suns. He had a 12-point game against the 76ers. He's going to come in and give you some minutes. Lou Williams, coming off the bench, plays a similar kind of game to Trey Young. He's not the same Lou Will he was of old. He might only give you 15 minutes a night, but in those 15 minutes, he can go off. Gallinari, he's still got it. He can give you 25 on any given night. Kevin Huerter, he had the best stretch of his life without DeAndre Hunter. The list goes on and on. I'm not going to go through every single player. And looking at their starters, no, they're not just well-rounded. They've got top-end talent as well. And I want to start with Bogdanovic because I talked about him before. One of my favorite players in the NBA. Since he's got healthy, you know what? He's averaging 21, 4, and 4 on 50, 90. The dude is lights out. Oh, Trey Young goes to the bench. Yeah, Bogey can create offense for other people. He can create off the dribble. He can move off ball. Like when Solomon Hill tweeted that thing about the Kings giving up Bogdanovic for free. If you haven't seen that, if you haven't followed Solomon Hill on Twitter, shameless plug, but he's funny. That's what they've got. They've got locker room clowns as well. What else do you want from this Hawks team? But getting back to Bogdanovic, he's a big reason why the Hawks have gone from a team that looks like that Clippers team that they were rolling out trying to avoid the Lakers. That's what the Hawks used to look like when Trey Young went to the bench. Now all of a sudden, they look competent. If Bogey was averaging 21, 4 and 4 on the season, let alone on 50-90 shooting splits, he would be getting a lot more hype. But because his numbers aren't quite that good, let's let the hype stay low, because teams are going to find out quickly that this guy is the Serbian Devin Booker. Is that the right word for him? I don't know, but Bogdanovic is just a different beast right now. He's a completely different player, all-star level player that needs to be respected. And speaking of all-star level players, Clint Capela is another guy that can roll to the rim, set some of the best screens in the league, and getting towards the Knicks matchup. Let's just talk about the Knicks matchup before I get carried away. This is a matchup where I saw last time the Knicks played the Atlanta Hawks. We'll talk about it. The Atlanta Hawks are 0-3 against the Knicks. Yes, okay. I admit that, and I'm not just blindly coming here as an Atlanta Hawks fan. I'm not some kind of crazed Atlanta Hawks fan, but I admit they're 0-3. I will also say 2 of those losses came with Lloyd Pierce. The other loss, the Hawks were leading. Trey Young got injured. They then came back. Bogdanovic hit a clutch shot. They went to overtime. Clint Capela had a back injury. Trey Young was out of the game, and they lost in overtime to a good team. And the reality is, they were close with Trey Young on the floor, and they still hung in with Trey Young off the floor. These are 2 closely matched teams. But if we look at what we can actually take out of those games, particularly the most recent one, Clint Capela had his way. Nerlens Noel he's just not big enough for Clint Capela. Clint Capela is just a better version of Nerlens Noel in pretty much every single aspect of the game. And on the Hawks' perspective, I mean, you could say the same thing about Julius Randle going up against someone like John Collins. Julius Randle is a mismatch for most of the guys on the Hawks, and he's had his way in all 3 games. So that's something they're going to have to figure out. They're going to have to try and double team. They're going to have to try and trap. They're going to have to do similar things to what teams have done with guys like Kawhi Leonard, LeBron James, all of those guys that are too hard to defend one-on-one unless you have the right guy, which the Hawks don't really have unless Solomon Hill comes in and punches him in the face or something. Let me not give him any ideas. I'm not advocating for that at all. I am not advocating for that at all. So unless he does that, no, okay, let me stop. But unless he does something like that, you're going to have to find different ways and legal ways as well. So that's what the Hawks are going to have to find. And I think that's the biggest matchup issue for Atlanta. I think when you look at these teams on paper, you look at the versatility of Atlanta, even on both ends of the floor with DeAndre Hunter coming back, his versatility defensively. You've got guys coming off the bench like Tony Snell, Solomon Hill that can provide some versatility defensively, John Collins, and then offensively, they're in a different ballpark. And another thing is not just from a personnel standpoint do the Atlanta Hawks have versatility, but when you actually look at these guys' games, Bogdanovic can play off the ball, he can play on the ball, he can create for others, he can do all of those things. Yeah, he's great. Clint Capela, he just runs hard, fast, catches lobs, sets screens. Fantastic defender, all-star level player in my opinion that doesn't get enough respect. He is really good. He's a fantastic player that he could drop 20 and 25 like he did against the Knicks earlier in the season. He could average damn near 15 and 15, 18 and 18 in a series against Nerlens Noel. And then you've got John Collins can play off the ball. DeAndre Hunter can play off the ball. He can create his own shot. List goes on. And then have I even really talked about Trey Young? He has had his efficiency problems against the Knicks, but also, like I mentioned, Clint Capela thrived against New York. There was a reason he thrived. It was because Trey Young was feeding that man. He was feeding that man. I don't know if you can even say that. I'm not going to try it. I've got a mic in my hand, but he was feeding that man. And Trey Young, it was really easy for him out there. I'm going to be honest. Last time they played the New York Knicks, he was just alley-oop. Nerlens Noel, you're kind of just in the wrong place. Alley-oop, alley-oop. Oh, let me just go to the rim. Not the best examples, but he was dominating the game without being efficient or without scoring a ton. And that's what I want to see from Trey Young. Get to 20 points. If you go off for 40 points, if you've got it going, you're still a scorer. But first thing you want to do is get your other players involved. I think that's what Trey needs to do. You've got so much offensive talent, you got to make sure they're all involved in the game, and I think it's for the betterment of the team as well. Like, you want Bogdanovic taking 10 threes a game if he's giving you 50% from there. You want John Collins taking threes. You want John Collins taking alley-oops. You want Clint Capela there. Like, all of these things you want, and the facilitator is Trey Young. It's important that they're better than they were without Trey Young on the floor, but when it comes down to it, you still want Trey Young at his best, and I've seen nothing from the Knicks to suggest he's going to be completely shut out. Like I mentioned, hasn't been the most efficient against them, and I'm not saying he's absolutely dominated them, but in terms of passing the ball, it looks like Nerlens Noel has had his troubles, and hopefully he can take advantage of those troubles instead of trying to force any shots. If Clint Capela's got 12 early points and they're all on alley-oops, all of a sudden the lane's just going to open up for you, Trey Young. I know he knows basketball a bit better than me, but I'm just giving you some advice, man to man. So the lane's going to start opening up. I don't think he's this big, huge ego freak guy that some people try to make him out to be. I don't really know why Trey gets such a bad rap. I think he can, in a playoff series, he can do what he needs to do to help the team win. I think that's what he's going to prioritize. Defensively, there are still some question marks. We're going to need DeAndre Hunter, but we're going to need DeAndre Hunter to be at his best because he's someone that does have that defensive potential and he can make a big difference. John Collins can do something defensively. There is guys that can do a job. They're not terrible defensively, evidenced by the fact they've been 12th since McMillan has taken over, but I'm not exactly confident they're going to go out there and clamp the other team up, which is why it's important that Trey Young does his best job controlling the offense. Look at someone like a Chris Paul. You've got your Serbian Devin Booker, you can be your Oklahoma Chris Paul. Simple. I expect them to beat the New York Knicks, not comfortably. It's going to be a hard series because the Knicks are a fantastic defensive team, fantastically coached. Julius Randle is an all-star player, and they've got other guys that can create shots, and they're just good. Like, they're just a good team. However, I think the Hawks have both the talent and now the coaching and just the camaraderie. They look like they're just clicking on all cylinders, and I expect them to take care of the Knicks, and then, well, what they can do from there on is something that I'll probably come back to if they do beat the Knicks. So until then, hope you enjoyed the video. Leave a like, subscribe to the channel. Bye.